Hey, well, good evening and welcome. Excuse me. Good evening and welcome to the DRT Daily Roundtable. I'm your host tonight, Jonathan Burns. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to check out what we do, how we do it, and how maybe you can be a part of what we have going on. I'll give you a brief overview about what we do and how we help families. And then I'm going to bring on a couple who's been doing very well in our business that actually are building a business and living the lifestyle that I believe they've always dreamed they would always have. So real quick, we help people with mortgage protection. That's a fancy term for life insurance. We've partnered up with these top rated insurance companies. We're the distribution for these companies. A lot of them are household names that you're very familiar with. And I feel like we have some of the best products out there, from term insurance to whole life to universal life. A lot of that stuff's probably Greek to you if you're brand new, but these policies have living benefits. So if somebody has a policy while they're living and they have a critical, chronic, or terminal illness, they can access their funds while they're living. So it's a life insurance place that they don't necessarily have to pass away in order for it to pay out. So again, I feel like there's some of the best products out there, but if you don't have anybody to go see, what good is having those products? So what we do, our company mails out these letters. So if you've ever bought a house or refinanced a house, you've gotten a lot of letters in the mail that talked about protecting that mortgage in case of a death and or disability. So what these clients do, if interested, they mail the card back to us, they call it in, they go online. However, they respond raising their hand saying, hey, I'd like to have more information about protecting this mortgage in case I pass away or become sick and not able to work. That's where you would come into play. You would give them a call and set up an appointment with them. We used to go face to face. Some people still go face to face, but you set an appointment later that afternoon to talk to them because you want to talk to both of the spouses together at the same time. These families are still working. So typically you're going to set the appointment from, say, maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon to, I like to call it dark 30. Like right now it's prime time for people to be at home where the spouses can actually speak to you and find out what the problem is. So you give them a call that night. We get them on camera. So we call it virtual sales, not telesales. So we send them an email, we get them on camera, and that way they can see your face. They see that you're in an office. They see you just like they're seeing me right now, right? Give them a call, get them on camera, and then you go through the process, and we'll help train you. We do a daily call, hence you heard me say the daily roundtable. We do it every day, and we help you learn how to find out what the problem is. And most of the time, the problem is when the breadwinner passes away, the family cannot maintain the lifestyle they've grown accustomed to. So we put a policy in place. It's an online application. You'll go through the policy. A lot of our companies will let you know if you put them on the appropriate plan or not. You'll get approved, denied, or sent to home office before you even hang up the phone. Once you do that, it is straight commission. You'll make anywhere between $500 to $700 on our average policy. So typical day, so to speak, would be setting 6 appointments in the afternoon. If you can set 6 appointments in the afternoon, you'll talk to 4 families. 2 people will cancel, reschedule. Life happens. They forgot that they had volleyball practice, ballet. People are busy, right? So 4 presentations will result in 1 to 2 applications a day. Some people work 3 days a week. Some people work 4. A lot of people start part-time. I know I started part-time. We highly recommend that because, again, it is straight commission. That's not for everybody, and that's okay. I didn't think it was for me, but I was able to start part-time, and then I worked my way to full-time. But that's just a big overview. At the end of the day, people raise their hand requesting more information about a life insurance policy to protect that mortgage. You call them up, find the problem, you present a solution, and you help families. Very simple process what we do. But I wanted you guys to hear from a family that has been doing a great job. And matter of fact, they got a very unique story on how they started in our business. So I wanted to bring them on this evening. So Jason and Crystal, I appreciate you guys taking the time out of this evening to join us. So good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Crystal. Obviously, it's Jason. So how we got started was we had received one of those lovely little mortgage protection cards in the mail because we had just purchased a home back in 2015. And at the time, it wasn't our dream home, but it was a great starter home. And I had filled out the card and sent it back in. And Eric Valdez, who is our upline manager, actually was the one that came out to our house. And it's very simple for us to put ourselves in the client's shoes because we were clients. But the way that Eric came out to the house and the way he recruited Jason, Jason, you want to tell him how?
So he kind of did that, like the doorknob close where he was like telling us the great opportunity, but he wasn't really attracting us. He was like, maybe you guys might know somebody. And it was as he was leaving, it was one of those situations. But
Yeah, and then we got the policy in the mail and it was the delivery receipt. I know that now. Um, and I called Eric and I said, what do I do with this delivery receipt? And by the way, how serious were you for that job for Jason? And he's like, I was very serious because at the time Jason was working for Stanley Steamer. I was working at the Bank of New York Mellon, we were making a very nice living. We were content, happy, content. We have two little girls at the time. Our youngest at the time was only 13 months old and our oldest was 3. So it was he was very serious. So he helped Jason get into the course. Jason stayed working full time. Well, then some things happened at his job that March that we knew he was going to be doing this full time. So he left his full time job and I stayed at the bank and he took his test and he passed. And he literally hit the ground running. He did everything that Eric told him to do. And I swore up and down, y'all, I was not going to be a part of this business. I want nothing to do with it. I have a beautiful job at the bank. No, I'm not doing it. It's me and this is you. So, but then, we asked ourselves, like, you know, is this worth it? And I'm sure a lot of you are asking yourselves those questions. And when the things happened in March with his job, and then we're solely commission based, yes, we still have my income at the bank. I feel that nobody walks through the doors at Equus feeling like they've already won. Okay. Many of us enter this space feeling broken, but with hope at this time, something will finally work out. And it's very attractive to be our own boss. It's a blessing and a curse. It truly is. We've been sold a lie by society that we should have it all together. And we look around and we think everyone else has it figured out, that everyone else's life is so perfect except for ours. But the truth is, we're all broken in some way, especially when we come here. Equus was built for those of us who feel like we've been taken advantage of. Those who feel that they've been tattooed with scars from past experiences and are working for someone else's dream in corporate America. When Jason and I first started, we had many, many times that we probably should have quit. And I one time, I will be honest, I mean, if you want to get in business with your spouse or significant other, it's a great thing. However, it can be very difficult. And it turned out I ended up getting very, very ill and I had cancer and I had surgery and I needed a distraction and I had time off work and I had gone down in Jason's office that was in our basement at the time. And I picked up the phone and I saw his script on the wall and I just started dialing these old C&D leads. I was not licensed at the time. And I called Eric Valdez and I said, hey, I just called through like 100 C leads and booked 11 appointments. He hung up on me. I thought I did something extremely wrong. Well, then Rob Jones called me, which is one of the owners of Equus. And I was like, oh man, I really messed up. Turns out I actually have a pretty good knack for dialing. However, I wasn't great at the beginning, you're going to go through the learning curves. And I used to sit and dial 600, 700, 800 C and D leads a week. Okay. And then we had some pretty hard times here at Equus. And I'm sorry if I'm doing a lot of the talking, but it's kind of, this is how this works. I'm the outgoing one. I get the appointments, but Jason's amazing in the home. You know, I'm sure a lot of you are asking yourselves those what if questions that you ask yourself every single day. What if I stay average? What if all the work and energy I put in doesn't pay off? What if things don't go the way we expect them to? What if my story was never meant to be unique? And what if I try and we fail? What if I let my family down? What if my friends stop calling because they don't believe in me? What if no one likes what I have to say? What if my ideas and dreams are too out there? What if we're pushing too far too fast? What if we lose everything? What if success is only meant for someone else? What if we're just meant to work, pay bills, sleep, and die? These are questions that we probably are asking ourselves as new agents. What if you were born to follow and not lead? That was my biggest struggle. Like that when we started building, I was like, what if I just wasn't meant to be a leader? And what if we get lost in the path? What if I can never be as good as the person on a call or as good as Jason and Crystal Patello? These are all questions that swirl in our minds as we enter this business. They're the doubts, the fears, and the what ifs that hold us back from moving forward. But what if you change the way you look at it? And that's what Jason and I did. We changed our mindset. What if today is just the beginning? What if we decide right now who we are going to be and made it the choice to become it? And that was a conversation that we had early on. And what if the things that you faced and the struggles that brought us here to Equus don't define where we are going? And what if your past has no power over our future? Okay, every single day is a new chance. And what if difficult is just an expression? What if your doubters, your fears, your pain, what if all those things actually fuel your success? That's what fuels Jason's success. His boss, when he left, told him that he would never have a successful insurance career. And we told each other, you know what? There is no plan B, and second place was no longer an option for Jason and I. Nothing changed until we believed it. So we stopped wasting our time trying to convince others that we could do this. And the only person that we had to convince was ourselves. And it's great being in business with your spouse because when Jason's having a bad day or I'm having a bad day, we lift each other up. And when we're both having a bad day, that's where your upline manager comes in. In the very beginning, we talked to Eric Valdez every day, sometimes 2-3 times a day. You know, it's hard. It's very hard. The first year is honestly, it's brutal. The pain you go through will feel never ending. So, as I said, I do all of the dials, and you knew people are going to be doing the dials, and you're going to sit at your desk after you've gotten licensed, and you're going to be staring at the phone, and you're going to be dreading the moment that you have to pick it up because it's going to weigh 1,000 pounds. The thought of a 4-hour dial session feels like a mountain to climb. But here's the truth. That 4-hour dial session just isn't about making dials. It's about the hours of sacrifice, the days of discomfort, and the willingness to do what others won't. The fact that you got on this call tonight, you are willing to do what others are not willing to do. And it's about carving out your place among the elite. So you pick up the phone and you're making one dial at a time. You're making one call at a time, slowly, step by step. You're executing your plan, and before you know it, it's done. That 4-hour session does not just symbolize the work that you've done, it sets the table for what's ahead. I set the table with every dial session for Jason for what's ahead. Every call, every moment of preparation and investment in your future is the foundation. I've always said dials are the foundation of our business. In the beginning, opportunities are small, almost fleeting. If you don't take action, the window will close and you'll be left with the results, good or bad. But if you maximize every moment, every dial, every lead, you'll rise to the top. The top isn't reserved for the lucky, especially here at Equus Financial. It's reserved for those who see the opportunity in a small window and capitalize on them. The business is full of challenges, but don't avoid them. Learn how to face them head on. And when pain sets in and you feel like quitting, remember this: long after the discomfort fades, you will remember how you walked away. So ask yourself, how will your next dial session change your life? The result will mean everything to fight for it and come prepared. Maybe you're not the best at dialing right now. Maybe you don't even have a license. Maybe you don't have money for a standing lead order. It doesn't matter. You must invest in yourself and sacrifice now because the pain will subside, but the victory won't. And that's what's the beautiful thing is. Hard times will come, that's a given. But if you're prepared and you keep the eyes on the prize, whatever that prize is for you, you'll make it. Some call it our why, but it's your reason for pushing through the hard times. People leave, they quit when things get tough. Why do they do that? It's because they've left a door open for an easier way out. So if you're going to commit to this, commit 100%. Even on a part-time level, stay committed. Even if you're working a full-time schedule Monday through Friday and you commit to Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays to do this business, stay committed. And there is no plan B. So there is the old saying, if you want to take an island, you burn the ships. You have to commit fully to this, even if it's on a part-time level. When you truly commit, changes happen. Progress will happen at the highest level. I promise you that. There's no second place. You commit to yourself, commit to your leads, commit to your growth. Commit to 5 applications a week, and you're going to watch how fast your business will transform. And just like, not to brag about Jason and I, but in the 8 years that we have been doing this, we have a little over 3,000 clients. That's 5,300 submitted applications, also known as yeses. That's 7,500 sits of no sales, and that's 9,000 appointments. The number of dials I cannot even tell you. However, whenever I set a table for Jason in the appointment, I don't always tell him that, it's funny because if I think it's going to be a no sale, he somehow sells it every single time. I remember the very first time I bought $1,000 worth of leads, and clicking that button was like gut wrenching. However, Jason encouraged me. He's like, it's fine. You are a great dialer. And I was like, you know what? You're a great seller. That's why this works for us. I see Keith sitting there with probably your wife. I think that's awesome. So, and people ask us all the time, should I hire a dialer? I say that you should only hire a dialer if they have a vested interest in your success, because nobody wants to. And we do run face-to-face, but we also run virtual as well. So we are considered a hybrid agent. I am licensed now. I've been licensed since 2017. I had to let Jason test the waters first.
You had to make sure that you're like, look, if it fails, it's going to be on him. It's not going to be because of me. I'm going to
Right, because I had a great job. And I say had because it's one of those things, JB, like when we got to a certain point in this business, I remember going out to Eric Valdez's office and saying, okay, I want to leave the bank. At that time, we were 3.5 years in the business. I said, I want to be home with the girls. I'm tired of daycare, raising the kids. And we worked the numbers backwards because this business is all numbers. You can't beat the numbers and the numbers will not beat you. Okay. So we knew what we had to do to replace my income at the bank. And it was no small feat. Barry Clarkson told me, he says, Crystal, do not quit your job until you can replace your income and you have 3 months in savings and you are making more in a week at Equus than you are in salary. Well, it was great advice, but my first day out in the field, I wrote $9,000 in APV. And everybody was like, well, it's because you're Jason's wife. And I was like, actually, no, I didn't call Jason for help on any of the appointments. I called Eric Valdez because I felt like in the client's shoes, if you come to my house and you try to sell me insurance and you're calling your husband, there's something shady about this. So I called Eric. And it's one of those things where, we did do that for a good 6 months. And then I finally put in my 90-day notice at the bank. I was kind enough to give them 90 days. And we worked really, really hard. I got to be a stay-at-home mom with our youngest for a year before she went to kindergarten. And then she went to kindergarten and then COVID hit. And then we were home with both the girls. But during COVID, we actually worked so hard in this business. We were able to stack $70,000 cash. And from April to August of 2020, and we bought our second home. We moved to where a lot of our clients lived and closer to my parents in our realistic dream home. And honestly, like we didn't want to, I always had a dream of having all brand new furniture because growing up, I never had like a matching bedroom suit or anything. And Jason made that happen for us. His sacrifice of long nights going 2 to 4 hours away in the beginning, and an average schedule for us is 18 to 20 appointments. An average schedule in the beginning was probably 10 to 15 appointments a week until we really got good at it. And some people will try to challenge me now, like, see how many you can book. And I'm like, you really don't want to challenge me with that. I'm not, and they're like, oh, you're A lead spoiled because that's the lead levels here. I'm not A lead spoiled. I bought a bunch of, I create my own B and C leads now. I can book you 40 appointments in 4 hours. Don't try me. So
The skill set that you've developed over the years. But
yes.
when you just said something like, I'm trying to be prim and proper, but I'm over here fist bumping right now because when you said we put $70,000 in the bank, we were able to move closer to my parents. I had new furniture, something I always dreamed about. See, that's the American dream. And I want to hit on it because I know you and I have talked about it. But when you guys, before Equus, all right, you bought your home, and before Equus, you had the family at the house. Jason really wasn't around much with the kids. Like he wasn't able to spend time with the kids. Now that he was building somebody else's business, right? Like he was building somebody else's dream. Now you guys are building your own business. You work for yourself. The only person you answer to is you. When you look in the mirror, that's who you answer to. But talk about that lifestyle change over the last 8 years. And I love how you're telling everybody how hard it is right now, because I really want to scare people off, right? Like if we can talk you out of it, it wasn't for you to begin with. But talk about the lifestyle change that now you get to spend so much time with the kids. You get to go on vacation. You don't have to stress. You don't have to swipe credit card. Like that's the lifestyle that I think that everybody's really looking for.
So Jason, you can kind of go in that, but let me just add something. So in the very beginning, it was very difficult to the point where we went to a conference and we had come home from a conference and the electric and the cable was both shut off and we didn't have a credit card to put it on. And we just kind of looked at each other and I was like, well, we better get to work. And we took everything we learned from conference. But Jason,
Yeah, like so the time freedom, that is like the ultimate, I think, the biggest, best part of this. It's always, the double-edged sword is with great freedom comes great responsibility because yes, it's like the best part of this business is the freedom, and it's also like the worst part because you do have to stay disciplined and we have a tendency that if things ever do, like if we're ever put in a corner financially, we're really good under pressure. That seems to be we always come out of any type of
yeah, like
downturn. I don't know what it is. That's whenever something's like turns on.
we've always done great under pressure. So the way we saved the 70,000 was on our checkbook ledger, I would head fake Jason and I would be like, we have negative like $4,000. And he would be like, oh my gosh. And he would just like get to work. And then like, I'm like, oh, okay. Like I can do math. So I do like the next couple days, I'd be like, oh yeah, we paid all those bills, but we need another $3,000. And
Yeah.
I kept head faking him. And then before we knew it, he was like, Crystal, I don't know. I know you want a new house, but like with this COVID thing, and he's like, I don't think we're going to have enough for down payment to do a conventional. And I was like, you haven't logged into the checking account, have you? No, I'm just looking at the spreadsheet that you have. And I'm like, there's 70 grand and we haven't even sold this house yet.
Right. It was a really empowering feeling.
Yeah, I mean, from where we came, like we were broke, but we weren't broken to the point that we had given up all hope. You know how like you have that one last whisper of hope, like this has got to work out. And that's one thing, like it was pressure from the beginning for us. Like this has to work out because if it doesn't, it's feast or famine now that we're self-employed. And we love the time freedom, especially with the girls. So our oldest daughter is now 13. Our youngest is 10. They're in sports. They're in cheers. They come to conferences with us. They're coming with us to Columbus. They love to travel. we do everything together. People say, why don't you guys have a date night? And I'm like, our kids go on date night with us. Like, this is the longest we've probably been away from our kids. Like, they're old enough to stay home by themselves. Like, our office is 7 minutes from our house. They're home right now. And I'm like, this is the most alone time we've spent together in a while. So to do an Equus call.
I love the time freedom, the lifestyle. The money, to me, I feel like the money's the byproduct, right? Like you're buying your time, you're buying your freedom, and it's good old fashioned hard work. And I say it's hard work because you said I make all these dials, and I love that you're saying that, because people try to come in because you guys are rock stars. You've been doing it 8 years. You've developed a skill set over the years. A lot of people brand new come in and they think, oh, I'll try that thing out. You didn't have a choice, Jason, when you had to go full time. So talk about the mindset, because if you guys listen to Crystal, you can tell like her mindset, like she thinks differently, and that's why they're so successful. So Jason, talk about when your back was against the wall, the mindset you had was, I'm going to prove the guy when I left, I'm going to prove him wrong, because he said, I'll be back, because he was scared to go straight commission. I'm not scared because I know it's on me.
Right. So definitely, I try to treat every appointment, I've said this before, like every opportunity that we meet with somebody is either a blessing or a lesson, a time to earn or a time to learn. You get some kind of value from every interaction in this business. And I also like to stay, like Gail Hammond, stay on the 10th floor, because the highs can be high, the lows can be low. And I try to treat every appointment like I'm going into it fresh. I don't like to take the baggage of the last one to the next one. One of the things that Eric actually taught me is to actually put your bag down whenever you get to the door, because you don't want to bring any baggage into that appointment. So that was something that I started to implement. But yeah, just staying even keel, and treating each family as though they are your family almost. Like when you treat others the way that you want to be treated, and you truly care about them enough to put them in a better spot than you found them, the selling process, it's not even selling anymore. It's just educating them and putting them in a better spot than you found them. And when they connect with you, the sale is gonna just happen by itself. I know that sounds kind of far-fetched, but it's a reality.
It is true. And, we say to our agents, if you are still doing this in 6 to 9 months from now for the money, get out of business. Because when you realize what you are selling and you sit there, or you get your first death claim or your first terminal illness claim, it hits different. We've had a lot of them now, but even Jason just had a terminal illness claim yesterday, and he's literally on the phone with her. And after he hangs up with her, he has tears in his eyes. And I'm like, I know that's hard. We had a death claim a few months ago. The woman was 106, but we're still sad about it, right? Because they become your family. When you walk into a funeral home and you see a client because her husband passed away and you're handing them that check, it hits different. So you realize that all of the hard work and the badgering of these people and calling them 10, 14 times in a row because they literally signed up for this was worth it. All of the cussing outs that I've gotten, it's worth it because we've saved even just one, and
then I don't ever forget, like the main reason that we actually even got into this was out of tragedy, because
so
yeah.
my Aunt Veronica, she is a nurse. She married a doctor, and 72 days after marriage, he died of a massive heart attack. And I went to see her the day that he died. And I said, Aunt Bonnie, like, why are you so upset? Like, he's a doctor. You're going to be loaded. And she's like, all those cards that come in the mail? Because they had just bought a $350,000 home 2 months prior. She says, John never wanted to talk about any of that. And I said, what? She says, you need to fill those out. And I had already filled it out. And I had my appointment with Eric, but I canceled on Eric. And I lied to him and told him that I was sick and I wasn't. So that's why I don't take cancellations, because They're probably a liar like I was. And we still go and we still call them from a private number and they pick up. But that's why she's like, you have to do this. She lost everything, but it was tragedy and something beautiful came out of it because we got Jason protected. And with the job offer, like if Uncle John would not have passed away, we would have probably never found this business.
That's an incredible, because look, here's the thing. What we do matters, and what we do is very important. And the people that are in it already, they know exactly how impactful it can be. But that was, to your point, it was tragedy, but blossomed a blessing for you guys because it opened your eyes to get the protection. And thank you, Eric Valdez, for being intentional with building his business, saying, oh, by the way, we're looking for sharp individuals. And thankful for Crystal, right, Jason, to push and nudge and say, Jason, we need to try this thing out, right? So
You can't really mess up 20 appointments a week, right, Jason? That's what Barry Clarkson told him.
well, exactly. So I'm going to let you guys go because I want to respect your time and everybody else's time as well. But real quick, I know, Crystal, you talked about having doubts. You talked about having the fear, and you talked about quitting, right? 8 years in the business. What have you mainly learned? I think you learned a lot about about yourself, right? Because you're not the same Patellos you were 8 years ago when you walked in the door. Talk about what this business has done from you guys, just from the lifestyle, but really the mindset of you guys are bosses. Like, you never quit, and you've overcome those fear and doubt. So talk to the new people that have that fear and have that doubt right now.
When you dig deep enough down inside of your soul, you realize you have more in yourself and in your stamina than you even knew possible. When it's, bottom of the ninth and how's that say?
Bases loaded.
The bases are loaded and it's, I don't know sports very well. They probably make touchdowns in baseball. I don't know. But Jason talks about that all the time. Like, we'll be having a week and he's like, Crystal, it's bottom of the ninth, bases are loaded. And I'm like, all right, it can go either way. But you dig deep in your soul and you find that grit and you find that tenacity. And if you need a pick me up on mindset, thank God we have each other, but we also have our amazing upline. And if it wasn't for Eric and Kim Valdez, there was times that I would call Eric and I'm like, listen, I quit. And then I'd call him 2 hours later, be like, all right, I quitting. So we're back, and it's okay to have those moments, but don't stay there.
It's a journey of self-development. I try to read something every day. 5
I listen to
pages.
podcasts. We do read 15 minutes a day, and you have, I don't want to go religious on y'all here, but you get a relationship with the higher power. I find myself praying for my clients at night, the ones that I couldn't help, the one that is on hospice, and I couldn't do something for them. You find within your own self, like, what you have to do to make it for yourself. And what's the alternative? If you quit today, you're going to be right back where you were, wondering, is it ever going to get better? Will I ever have a chance?
Right.
And you'll never know if you quit.
Words of wisdom from winners right there. So, Jason, Chris, I can't wait to spend some time with you guys in Columbus just in a couple of weeks. So thank you again for carving out some time this evening. And I know you got to get back to the house with the girls right now.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, JP.
I love listening to their story because how they got in the business. They were clients. They saw the value of what we do in the business. And, I love when they talk about it's not what you get, it's who you become. See, the people that they have become along this journey, they prove to themselves over and over that anything tough that comes along their way, they can overcome it. And they get to live life on their terms. So if that's you, if you're sitting out there like JB, hey, I can resonate with that. I can resonate with not making enough money and having, more bills than income coming in at the end of the month. Hey, I can resonate with not having enough time to spend with my girls or my kids or even my significant other. If that's you, this might be a change of scenery that you might be looking for. You do have to have your insurance license to work with us. We're highly regulated in the space we're in. It's an online course. You can take a week, 2 weeks, however fast you can learn the process and take the test. Once you pass your test, then you can go out and help families. So get with the person who invited you. They're going to show you how to take the next steps. And then we do this every Thursday night. Every Thursday night, we bring somebody on, a success story, someone who's doing well in the business. So invite you somebody that you would want to do business with. So who's the accountability partner that you would call that says, hey, let's go try this thing together because I need to change the scenery. And when I talk about change the scenery is I always tell people, if you're in a career path right now, look at the person who is ahead of you in years, ahead of you in experience. So if someone's been there 5 years or 10 years ahead of you and you don't like the lifestyle that they're living, maybe this could be a change for you. If you like it, you might be where you need to be. But if you don't, this might be an opportunity. And again, you saw Jason, we recommend starting part-time, but then when your back gets against the wall, you can go full-time. So get with the person who invited you. Invite you somebody next Thursday night, because we do this every Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We'll have another person on sharing their journey so far in our business. So I look forward to seeing you guys next Thursday. Jason, Crystal, thank you again for being transparent and real and just sharing your journey with everybody. You guys have a fantastic night.